Hey everyone, and welcome to Fellowship of Fans. Today is going to be an exciting one because we're going to be discussing the series finale of Stranger Things. It's been a long time, like I think like what, about a decade of this show at this point?
9 years.
9 years? Holy moly, that's a long time. and hopefully it stuck the landing for people, but we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, so let's we'll go through here with the introductions, top to bottom here. We'll start with Aiden, and what I'm looking for at the beginning here is which character did you most identify with, and give a brief explanation why, and then a one word summary of how you felt of the
One
series
word.
finale. It's challenging. It's challenging.
Um, yeah, so I'm trying to process everything you asked me. Yeah, happy to be here once again. We're doing two streams back to back. This feels like the olden days where we're back in our groove. See what happens next Sunday. But um, no, I think if I had to pick a favorite character from the series, what's his name? I knew his name and now I'm blanking on it. The teacher.
Snookums.
Mr.
Yeah,
Snookums,
he's
yeah.
referred to as that. But no, I liked him. He's been a really cool constant character through all the seasons, and he's honestly been responsible for most of the plans they've enacted to save the world, but never truly involved. So I actually liked him getting involved in the group this season, even if it did make the cast just that much more inflated. And the scene where he opened the gate and said "melon" was probably my favorite scene from this season. But if I had to summarize the finale in one word,
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark, that's it. I would summarize the finale with this word: good. I don't know.
Eloquent. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So more to come there. We'll
I've
dive
got more
into-
to say, but with one word, I mean, you put me on the spot.
We'll dive into
If I could
what
use a
good
second
means.
word, I'll say expectations met.
All right. We'll fling it over to Jess. Same questions.
All right. So, character that I identify with most, I think I would say Lucas, because I was a jock with the spirit of a nerd. So yeah, favorite character would be maybe a different answer, but yeah, I'll go with Lucas. And if I had to give one word to summarize the finale, I think I would say satisfactory, sufficient. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Sufficient. All right, we got a lot of okay. See where this goes in a second. And fling it over to you, Mr. Harry.
Hello. First of all, it's great to be back on. And yeah, I think Stranger Things. I think the first one was who you most identify with, and I believe Jessica said Lucas. I'm sorry, not Lucas. And Aiden, I forgot who you said.
Don't worry,
Mr.
no one.
Clark.
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark.
No one's gonna go with.
I actually think it kind of was Dustin, because I thought out of all the characters, he had quite a emotional journey and also a relationship with Steve. So I think him. And I think both of your words, I think just to play devil's advocate, my one word would be unresolved. I think. I think we'll get into why that could be the case.
Interesting. All right. For me, I'm gonna pick Will, and the reason for Will is I feel like I'm always up for an adventure, but I'd probably get sick early on, and then just the background. So with my luck, so I'll go with Will. And Jess literally stole my word. Before the stream, I was like, my word is satisfactory.
Oh no.
And
You can still
so
use
it's-
that one. I went
Shiv
sufficient.
Shiv said that before the stream, and he said, "Hey guys, please don't steal this." And Jessica
Well,
did.
my audio wasn't working,
Wow.
so
Wow.
Campbell.
So it seems like a lot of us are in the same wavelength, which is interesting. The words we chose, they're all in the same sphere. So interesting. But with that, let's dive into a little bit of this. For this next section, let's like try to stick to like our immediate reactions to the finale. So I know we're gonna get into the weeds in a little bit, but like for immediate reactions, I'm thinking like pacing. Like, how did you feel watching this final episode? Did you feel like it was a drag? Did you feel like you were emotionally invested? Was there a scene that like really piqued your interest or felt like you got the emotional hit you were looking for, as the series comes to an end? And then I'll leave the final question. So we'll start there actually before I jump into the last one. So, Aiden, how did you feel watching the final episode?
Oh boy. I felt a whole range of emotions. I mean, I think I felt pretty much everything you could feel in a finale, but overall, I think, oh, sorry, I'm trying to remember how to keep this concise. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things to be said about what they could have done differently. But overall, for a show of this scale, I think satisfactory is probably the right word. Harry, I'd agree with you. There are some things that are unresolved, but I think they did a decent job of tying up the loose ends, and I feel like it kind of ended in a spot that felt like it stuck with the core of the original series, even if there were points of this episode where it felt like they had gone far beyond what the story originally started as. I mean, have you seen that that picture on Twitter? It's like Stranger Things season 1 versus season 5, and it's a picture of True Detective, and then the second picture is like Godzilla versus Kong.
That's great.
But yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
All right, I'll fling it over to Harry. How about you?
Yep, is this for the final episode?
Yeah. Final episode, like pacing. How did you feel
Hmm.
throughout it?
So I think there were worries going into the final episode that people were saying, how can they wrap everything up and answer all the questions that they wanted to? But I feel like they did actually do a satisfactory job with the Mind Flayer. I was a little bit skeptical on seeing how they've changed it back. Not back, but it was like more of a shadowy figure originally, and then now became more of like a, I don't know, more physical creature. But I thought the fight was good. I think Joyce getting the final blow was also very very touching. And for pacing wise, even though it did have a 40-minute epilogue, I don't feel like it was too like I was worried that we're running out of time. It felt like it came to its natural end for the first part and the second part. And then yeah, I just feel like that Happy went straight into it. I did wish that there was a few episodes beforehand where it got into it a bit quicker, and I think we'll probably get on to discussing that a bit more. So yeah, but overall did enjoy the finale, and then of course the last bits of, I'm guessing Elle's death and everything we'll get onto as well.
Yep.
If you'll indulge me in a brief tangent, actually.
How dare you?
I'll put us into the first one. Well, because Harry talked about the Mind Flayer's body. I'm curious. It was never confirmed. They never really addressed it, but I'm curious if the shadowy presence of the Mind Flayer was just the projection he sent into the Upside Down. Since this
Aiden,
is
I was
kind of like,
literally about to talk about that.
well, too late.
No, I'm glad we're on the same wavelength, though.
Yeah, because I mean, the other thing that makes me consider this is because when the Mind Flayer made the physical body in the real world in season 3, it was kind of just this fleshy amalgamation of all the bodies, and it looked like that. The version they fight in the Abyss very much looks and feels like a real creature that grew and kind of, its flesh is its own. So I don't know. I'm curious if this was always what the Mind Flayer was actually like. And I don't know. But I agree that the shadowy figure, I mean, that's like top 10 villain design of all time. It's such a good silhouette.
Definitely.
And honestly, I think that maybe some of the finale could have been better if the fight against the Mind Flayer was more of a mental fight as opposed to just, throwing acid balloons at it. But it is what it is.
Water balloon fight.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm gonna see if I can put a pin in that. I do have something I wanted to kind of tee up on that, but I'll try to save it for later. So Jess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much on the same wavelength as Harry. Went in with not the highest expectations after where we left volume 2. There was the pacing of that volume was just really slow. So I was like, oh, I hope we don't have 57 explanations that we have to pause for 5 minutes and wait on them to explain a plan or what have you. So yeah, I thought I got into it. The pacing was like very brisk. And honestly, feel like they wrapped up all the plot points. Like Harry said, there's unresolved things, but I don't think these are plot holes that maybe some of them are, but there's a lot of unresolved, did they ever, release Derek's family from the garage or whatever? Doesn't really affect the plot. It's like an unresolved thing that happens.
They're still there.
Yeah, they're still tied up in the garage. So yeah, even with us, I mean, we were wrapping up the boss fight, and I think there was an hour left in the episode. I was like, what the heck is going to be happening for the rest of the episode? So I was expecting maybe a plot twist or something,
I mean, after the whole L thing wraps up, I think it was a 40-minute epilogue, which seemed pretty lengthy. They probably could have tightened that up a bit, but I feel like pretty much every major series finale I've ever watched, it's usually like at least half the final episode, if not more, is dedicated to like post-climax resolution.
And you guys just handed me my first tangent on a silver platter.
No.
So I thank you for that. So it's gonna sound a little crazy, and then it's gonna make sense. So I was fortunate enough to go to the New York Comic-Con through Fellowship of Fans on support of War of the Rohirrim. And in there, I went to a couple of panels, and I got to see Electric State. You can see here Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt. So there's a small connection to Stranger Things there, major connection. But you'll notice this interviewer, Josh Horowitz, he has a really great podcast, Happy, Sad, Confused. And I ended up going to the taping at Comic-Con.
That's you as the Mind Flayer?
Dun, dun, I was the Mind Flayer all along. So this is a photo of Jack Quaid dressed up as a Demogorgon.
Oh my God.
In front of David Harbour. And so reason why I bring this up is Happy, Sad, Confused just dropped a interview, and I'm going to play a quick clip that directly ties into what you guys were just saying. Here we go.
Especially the ending was all laid out.
It's interesting. I was looking back. I was thinking back to Return of the King. Return of the King's epilogue is about 28-30 minutes. You out Return of the King. Congratulations.
Oh shit! I actually did not know that.
I didn't know that. No.
Hey, but if you think about it, we're longer, quite a bit longer than the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Because what are you 40, 50 hours? And they're even with the extended, they're 10.
Yeah.
What are they with 10? The extended? Yeah, something like that.
10, 11. Yeah. But
yeah.
So right there, they're one of us. They knew the hour runtime of Lord of the Rings.
That's
It's
crazy.
more like 12. I feel like you get closer to 12.
Yeah.
When you do extended.
Oh,
I'll throw them a bone. They were being interviewed. They're probably stressed.
Have you been seeing? They've been releasing a lot of comments over the last 24 hours. They're making themselves stressed out. I think a whole mess of comments today. They're like, I don't know why we released so many interviews yesterday.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Ross looks rough, I will say right there.
You were like, guys, please be nice to us. We're tired. It's like that's the funniest thing I've seen a director say in a long time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Ugh.
I think they do need to stop talking a little bit because they are just creating more things. So they're now answering all these small plot hole things, like Jessica said, like where is are their families still tied up? They're answering like literally everything. Like, and 90% of the answers are we know the answer, but we're gonna keep up to interpretation for the viewer. It's pretty much, and that's why I said the word unresolved. A lot of it with this season. Either
Or
happened-
somebody will be like, "Do you think this happened?" And they're like, "Yeah, that sounds good."
Yeah.
No.
I think the one key one was when they were hurting Vecna in the final fight, where the Will was feeling it, and they said he potentially disconnected from the hive mind when they were cutting him down. But also, if he did feel it, it was happening off screen because they wanted to focus on the death. So it's like I guess there's a few things like that which potentially could be a plot hole. But yeah, I think they're answering themselves in circles at this point, which is quite funny.
It's funny you say that too, because in that interview, Josh Horowitz was basically pushing them to try to answer the big question about 11. And they're like, well, we know the answer, and only one other person knows the answer, Millie Bobby Brown. She knows, and we just told her like 30 minutes ago. So he's like, oh, well, does anyone else know? Did anyone tell Noah? And like they got into a huge conversation. They're like, oh, I'm going to text Noah right now so he doesn't say anything if he ever learns. So yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, I highly recommend that interview if you guys like a deep dive, because Josh does
That
a
was
great
from
job.
when? When was that interview?
I believe it was posted today. Let me check.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw something where they were like, we should not have been doing so many interviews right after this aired. Like, I'm sick. We haven't slept. Like, I don't know what we're saying.
Yeah, it looks like this was posted 8 hours ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then to not pull this back to Rings of Power, but like imagine
No,
if
please do.
imagine if JD Payne and Patrick McKay were ever like this. Like imagine, look at the difference between like the showrunners we have for this show and then the Stranger Things showrunners. It's like there's a big parallel difference, which I always find quite intriguing. And maybe when it does come to season 5, maybe JD and Patrick are going to be like this, but hopefully they're not, circling around and stressing themselves out.
I think it makes such a difference that JD and Patrick know where the story is going to end. Like this is a narrative that's been planned for 5 seasons, and that's it.
Well, they know they have 5 seasons.
Yeah, Stranger Things started, and they didn't know how big it was going to get or where it was going to go, and you can kind of see that as the branches keep branching, and they've got more plots going on that they've got to wrap up. And I think you see that with the Game of Thrones finale too. Like they didn't know where that story was ending, because the book series is not done.
Well,
I'm just glad Rings of Power has an end point, and they can play in there, but we know what's going to happen.
And and it's not going to feel like the ending just comes out of nowhere. Everything will kind of feed into it. But I think it's funny you brought that up, Harry, about JD and Patrick, because they had almost this exact same kind of conversation happen with an interview about the Mithril origin. Where they got pressed on the Mithril, and they basically had that same answer of like, well, we know, but it's up for you to decide if it's apocryphal or not. And it's like, no, tell us it's fake.
I think I made that comment about the Elle story. I was like, well, the story that Mike tells, it's apocryphal. And yeah, I don't think the joke landed, but that's kind of where I was getting at.
It's probably going to be quite important. We've got 3 more seasons, so I'm sure we'll have plenty more. Hopefully not of that. But yeah, I think the showrunner's job must be so hard sometimes, So yeah, very interesting. But unless Shiva will let you steer it back to Stranger Things. Apologies for that another tangent.
I love it. If it's a Rings of Power tangent, it's definitely allowed. All right. Encouraged, yes. So in this section, the last thing we can talk about, which we kind of mentioned, but we'll kind of put a bow on it is, did we feel that the finale was big enough? And I guess what I mean about the finale in this case, I'm not thinking of the epilogue. I'm thinking about more so the battle and what transpired like directly after.
I'm happy to start. I think for me the finale, that part was suitable, but going into it, I still didn't feel like the stakes were there as much. For me, like the best way to explain it, I think season 4 still kind of felt bigger than season 5 in some ways. And I think the stakes were so much higher given episode 7, episode 8, the twist. And I feel like I did feel like it deserved this in season 5, episode 8. The first part was suitable and did work. And I think the only thing for me is that I didn't really feel like anyone was gonna die, really. And guess what? No one did die. And I feel like having that's the only problem with it, is that it had that removed, that risk attached to it. But as I think some shows do, they subvert expectations so much, or like to do the opposite thing. I feel like for what they did actually achieve, I think it was, suitable enough. I think it was big enough to scale. I think how the Mind Flayer looked, L charging at it, would be incredible. Was incredible, and I think, I feel like it was maybe potentially a bigger spectacle. Sorry, it was a big spectacle, but for me, season 4 still felt like a bit bigger in the sense of like this whole scale of things. So that's kind of where my thoughts are.
Nice. How about you, Aiden?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for what they did a good job. I saw somebody online the other day make the comparison that the show, it draws more of its roots from the Goonies than it does from Game of Thrones. And so for a finale of a show like this to not kill off any characters, and I think it's kind of in line. It's never really been that kind of show. I mean, I saw someone else kind of say that they were like, this finale, the way people are talking about this finale is the equivalent of if somebody was saying, oh, the Goonies didn't have any guts because if they did, they would have drowned a few kids in the pirate ship at the end. And it's like, yeah, I see it both ways. I mean, the show has previously set up stakes. There have been characters that have died. So I can see why some people assumed it was possible. But again, there's never been a main character in this show who's died ever. It's not really been something they've explored. There have been major side characters like, Eddie, Sean Astin, Bob. But I think, it was a very big spectacle moment. It was definitely a moment where I was kind of like, this is kind of exceeded what I expect from Stranger Things. But I don't know. I think maybe it could have been a little longer. I did see somebody post. They said that Will Byers' coming out scene was actually 20 seconds longer than the final fight with the Mind Flayer, which I don't know. Apparently, I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked that much into it, and I don't really care because I don't think that every story beat needs to be measured and judged on those kind of statistics. But I think they could have maybe done a little bit more with it. Like I mentioned earlier, I would have liked to have seen more of a mental battle. I think it would have been really cool if the Mind Flayer kind of like entered everyone's minds or something, and they all had to like battle their insecurities and fears and like inner demons. I mean, everybody's clamoring for Eddie to come back. That would have been a good opportunity for him to be, some sort of mind ghost in Dustin's memory or something, and you could kind of show the psychological fear. Because for me, the Mind Flayer, I'm not going to get too in the weeds on this, but the Mind Flayer has always been more Cthulhu than he's been Godzilla, if that makes any sense. And Cthulhu is a giant monster, but he's like an eldritch horror who like invades your mind and drives you insane. And I feel like they kind of forgot those roots with the Mind Flayer in this last episode, where he stopped really being Cthulhu and did just become Godzilla, where he's just a big monster that destroys things.
That's a great
and where
point.
were the Demogorgons?
We were talking about this before. Maybe it's time to bring up that tangent.
Oh God. We'll let Jess go, and then yeah, let's go to that.
Yeah, I think Stranger Things has always been in conversation with Stephen King as well as something like The Goonies. And I think it's interesting that this came out kind of hand in hand with Welcome to Derry, which is, a totally different show, but they're both in kind of the horror vein. So you can see the Stephen King influences with, this group of misfit kids and everything. But yeah, like Aiden said, I don't think this has ever really been that type of show. So, Welcome to Derry wasn't afraid to, spoiler alert, kill off one of its main, kids. And get really dark and gritty with the deaths. But yeah, I don't think that's really what we're watching here. So yeah, I mean, we got one death in the finale with Kali, but obviously the main crew made it out unscathed, which I was pretty happy about. Honestly, I don't really know that any of them dying would have been like beneficial to the narrative that they were trying to tell. The spectacle of the final fight was great. I loved how this played out very much like a kind of D&D boss battle type
Mhm.
thing. So I thought that was great. People were like, when did this become, Avengers? And I'm like, well, this show has always been framed around like D&D. Granted, the Duffers were not playing D&D growing up, so I think they get some of those details wrong. But with everyone, joining in on this fight, I thought it was really great when Will steps in to, hold off Vecna from grabbing Elle. That was like a kind of stand up point at the TV moment for me. Pretty hype moment. So yeah, I thought honestly this was a pretty great final confrontation. I think that they mostly did the psychic part of the battle through the Vecna and Elle and Will kind of battle that's ongoing while everyone else is kind of hammering away at the mind flayer outside. So we can get to my correct predictions from last stream later about the mind flayer and Vecna, but yeah, overall happy with this outcome in this battle here.
You brought up a good point, though, Jessica. I was thinking as you were talking, I think every single season finale up until, like, for the entire show is ended with a big final fight where they have shotguns and bats and explosive traps. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't really remember a single finale where they didn't end with some big fight against a monster in very much D&D fashion. So,
yeah,
I guess, yeah. I mean, if people are complaining about that, I guess the only thing is that it's just upped the stakes and level of it a lot. But I mean, even season 3, the giant monster they fought at the end was, I mean, not as big, but still pretty similar in,
that was the mall mind flayer one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why that'd be a critique. They literally had a decent sized monster every time, and of course the season finale would have a big spectacle. Like that's a weird critique.
I guess you go from one Demogorgon in the season 1 finale, which felt like very contained and sort of down to earth, true detective-y, I guess, if you want to say that, even though it had a Demogorgon in it, to this like giant kaiju type thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought, all the, I was like, why is this guy throwing like a water balloon at the, mind flayer? And then it went off and I was like, oh, okay, that was pretty sick.
Yeah, that I feel like, I mean, this is probably just me not paying attention as much, but I feel like they could have played a little bit into the children being inside of it because they're attacking something, setting it on fire, and the children are in there. I feel like there could have been more drama with like as they're fighting, like, oh crap, like we could hurt the children, and like I feel like there was like none of that. That's straight.
And
to
I
the
thought
point.
that they did say something about how they were attacking the Mind Flayer on the outside to distract it from like being able to focus on the psychological aspect of the battle and leave that to Vecna. Like, okay, Vecna says that he and the Mind Flayer are one or whatever, but it still seems to be like somewhat siloed as far as like how their focus is. So that was kind of how I took that. Like the Mind Flayer has to focus on this physical aspect now that they've kind of encroached on its actual physical territory, and Vecna's doing the psychological thing.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I also think that all they needed to do to kill the monster was just for 11 to just crush the heart. She was in there, it's just exposed.
Oh God, it's the trench and the Death Star all over again.
Yeah.
Oh.
Shiv, is it fine that because I have to jump over in a couple minutes, should I just give like a quick overall thoughts?
Yeah, go for it.
Yep. I think overall I did enjoy the most season. I think it's clear with the writer's strike from episode 4 to episode 5, you see the difference in the level of quality. I think the ending of episode 4, I think it was called The Sorcerer with Will, was really, really cool. I did think his coming out scene, I was not really a fan of it at all. And just to preface, that's not because he's coming out, it's because I think the way it was delivered, I think the actor even said himself, he didn't think it was going to work. And I feel like the fact there was like so many people, random people in that room, I think could have been much more touching. And I made sense how it worked for the plot, but I just felt like that whole occasion, I think maybe they could have handled it maybe a bit better, or potentially even given maybe Will's actor maybe more of a say in it. I think a lot of the first 2 episodes, the stuff with Holly, I know people are being quite back and forth on whether the Holly Derek stuff, because that did get added. Apparently wasn't the original plan for season 5. I thought the Holly stuff was great. I think she was also she was a great actor. I think this was her first season, I believe. So yeah, that was great. I think Vecna throughout the whole season, the Mr. What's It thing, I think it got a bit long after a while, but I did like the idea of it. And I think Jamie Campbell, I'm sure you talk about near the end, was terrific. And I think people said he was probably the most compelling out of everyone, which was great. I think, and I'm sure, I'm just listing off points I'm sure you're all going to touch. I think one of the funniest parts, and I think I was with my brother and we were like joking about it. It's like every time, I think from episode 5 onwards, they'd have a plan. It'd be like, did someone just say that word? Oh my God, like calculator. We're gonna get Robert. Then we've got a plan. We're gonna put the calculator here. You're gonna go here. You're gonna go here, and they just I think capping like 6 or 7. Oh, sorry.
Harry!
that was I did not mean that. That many times. So yeah, that was funny. I'm sure you guys mentioned that the incessant planning and someone saying a word. I think it was on the pitch where the scientist, Mr. Clark, because of Erica, and they just think Erica said a word and he somehow just figured it all out. And I was like, that was kind of funny. But overall,
Have enough
I didn't.
left, of course.
Yeah. But overall, I did enjoy it. I think it was, satisfactory. And I think maybe think there's some people overreacting, but also at the same time, the unresolved nature. I don't like how with the 11 ending, I think was the part where I wish they at least gave some finality to it. So yeah, I think that's all of it from me, and I hope, I think, yeah, I think it's going to be fun hearing you guys afterwards discuss what your thoughts are as well. And thank you everyone for also tuning in for increasing the viewership. I think compared to last week's doing pretty well. So yeah, thank you, Jessica, Aid, and Shiv. I'll head off now.
Thanks, Harry.
Yep.
Thanks for being here with us. All
right,
right.
Good day.
Who was that? Yeah, so it was great to have Harry's thoughts. So we'll have to try to intertwine those with some of ours in the coming sections here.
Hope
But
someone wrote those down.
a lot
They
to
were
cover.
recorded.
We'll We'll do an instant replay. I'm thinking. Okay, so I guess I'll give a quick thought on the final battle too. One thing I mentioned would have been really cool is, and people have echoed this online, but I feel like it's kind of like a staple in big action movies where you have like waves. So if we go to Return of the King, right? Like there's like, I don't know, 3 to 5 battles in the Pelennor Fields battle itself. And if I was to do a quick side tangent of a potential movie trope that I think I saw potentially influenced by Return of the King when I think it was Steve and Dustin run under the Mind Flayer and use spears to stab. I instantly thought of the Oliphants, but who knows if that was a direct reference or not. But yeah, it would have been cool like if they had the time and the budget, if they did do like different waves, like when the party gets up there, they first get attacked by a bunch of Demogorgons, and then from there something else. Like that could have been cool, but it seems like they had a lot of grounds to cover to kind of cleanly wrap up the story. So
You never asked us what D&D class we thought we were. Is that for
I
later?
did. Oh, you know what? That actually would be a good
We'll
segue.
naturally segue into that at some point, I'm sure, if we're talking
Okay.
about D&D.
Nice. You read the outline.
Of course.
Must have missed
I had to
that.
study to answer that because I've never played myself. So
Okay. Well, I think I have a way to naturally segue into that actually right now. So we'll do that. So we talked about the stakes of the big, large battle, and I figured what we can do is talk about each character's story arc. And each character in the show kind of mimics a class of Dungeons and Dragons, more or less. So before we dive into what the characters' classes are, I actually didn't do my own homework for this, so I might have to steal someone's answer. But yeah, Jess, since you brought it up, you're first. Which character class would you be in Dungeons and Dragons?
So from my studies, I am going to say that I feel like I would be a barbarian class. From what I understand, Aiden, I think you probably know more about this than I do. Shiv, I don't know if you play.
Nope.
I've never played Dungeons and
great.
Dragons.
Okay, so we're all kind of flying blind here. Okay, so barbarians are very much driven by their emotions. They can use their rage and emotions to fuel their attacks. They use a bunch of weapons. They are masters of weaponry of all types, not probably bows and arrows and stuff. Yeah, I think that is where I fell. That feels very much in line with me. I'm very much an emotion-driven person. Not to say that I can't ever use logic, but feels right for me.
How about you, Aiden?
Oh boy. I mean, there's the class I'd want to be, but I don't know.
I tried to be realistic. I was like, okay, we gotta go with what actually I am.
I feel like if I was going to play a class, it would be an evocation wizard because those guys are cool. But I don't think I'm actually that intelligent, so I don't know.
Shut up. Yes, you are.
I don't know if
You
I
even
would
have the
deal
hat
with-
for it.
It's over there. I'd be a warlock and sorcerer should be there. I'll be a warlock because Harry's kind of like my patron, and he gives me power. I act through him.
Harry's the deity that you are pledged to.
Harry's the deity of Fellowship of Fans, and he gives me a fraction of his power, which I use to produce Rings of Power related content. So probably say I'm a warlock. I probably have an archfey patron. I'd say Harry gives archfey kind of.
If there are any D&D experts in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Sorcerer was not a class of D&D until what?
No, not
Or
until
something?
I think I think in the show they're playing second edition. I don't think Sorcerer was added till third or fourth. So
Yeah, third, I think, which is like 2000. So, I mean, I was saying the whole time we were streaming last time, I was like, Sorcerer is not like the right, classification for what Will is doing. They keep saying he has like this innate ability. I'm like, he's literally siphoning powers
Yeah.
from Vecna. Like, this is not
yeah,
right
but
at all.
Warlocks didn't exist either, and that.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think the Duffer's non D&D expertise is showing somewhat some of these things, but that's a nitpick on my end. But it was bothering me because I feel like even I knew that, and I don't even play.
Yeah. All right,
Nice.
Shiv, finish us off.
I'm cramming for the test right now. Maybe, well, Aiden and Jess. Oh, well, Aiden played.
You're a
with me, right?
bard.
I'm a singer.
He is a
Are
bard.
you not? I'm like just looking. I'm like that. I don't even need to look at the others. I feel like
He's a College of Eloquence bard.
All right, so I sing. I fight people by singing.
And cast
I
magic
love it.
spells, yeah.
use
Ooh,
your voice and charisma to
the Riz.
do
So I'm
stuff.
a Riz
Yeah.
bard.
Riz bard.
Nice. Nice. And what was when we did the Lord of the Rings Dungeons and Dragons, I was a hobbit. What was like that class?
You were a rogue.
Rogue? Okay. I like that too, but I don't know if it was hobbit specific, but the whole like being able
No, anyone
to
can be a
invest.
rogue.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, maybe that's a good indicator too of like we'll have to do Dungeons and Dragons again because it was a lot of fun and we had a lot of chaos and it made Aiden do a lot of homework, which we're appreciative of.
You need to
That's-
let someone who's never played before be TM
Yeah, that'll work out great.
for chaos
Absolute
and
chaos.
hilarity.
Oh,
Um,
you're gonna give anyone who's ever played Dungeons and Dragons, they're gonna watch it and they're gonna get an aneurysm.
story.
Not how it goes.
I want to address why I want to get this question answered. So, storyteller said he wasn't Will wasn't a warlock because there was no consensual contract between him and the deity, whatever. I mean, so the closest to he would be was a sorcerer, but is there like a non-consensual, like is there ever like a non-consensual contract between the warlock and whoever?
I think
I guess.
sometimes there can be a non-consensual pact in D&D.
Yeah,
but
because I was like, if there
you can
is,
get
if the
tricked
warlock
into
could also have a
it.
non-consensual pact, then I feel like that's like perfectly in line with what he is. But if that's definitely like a no, then he's sure sorcerer, but it still wasn't in existence at that point.
I feel like I
Well,
need
you
to
said
learn a
no.
lot about these characters.
You gotta study up.
Yeah, so well, we don't have to get stuck on the D&D of it all, but I was like,
Yeah, sure. Take us
doing
away.
the matching with like the characters from the final battle. But none of them are really clear cut, I guess.
Yeah.
So loosely based influence, I guess, on each of the characters and their character class, it seems. But well, speaking of the character classes, I think what we can do is talk about like how the different story arcs kind of concluded in the story, and we can start with the party, so that the kids, the main D&Ders, if you will. So did they get the endings they deserved? There's, the main story arcs, I guess, of Will and 11, but there's also, I wouldn't say not main, but semi-secondary characters like Dustin, Lucas, and their kind of journeys ends. Like, how did you guys feel the party? Well, we had Harry's before he dropped. He said that there's a lot of things left to be resolved. So do you guys echo the same, or do you feel like at least for the party, they got closure? adequate closure.
I think the party got decent closure. I mean, they graduated high school. They all kind of went their separate ways. I mean, I think that's probably why um, the emotional core of the finale hit so much for me. And it probably hit for a lot of people because I think it's just such a universal experience. I think so many people have had this. I mean, if you're at our stage in life, some people are still living in this stage, but to have a really close knit group of friends that went to high school together, you hung out with every day, you spent all the weekends doing fun, zany, wacky things, and then high school ends. Some people move out of state, go to different colleges. You try to keep in touch, but some of these people that were once you're like glued to the hip, you only see maybe once a month with a concerted effort. And so I think those kind of stories always kind of hit home emotionally for me because it's a very reminiscent, nostalgic feeling that I think a lot of adults have. So I think it was a satisfying ending. It felt very natural. It didn't feel super contrived and they also didn't. I feel like they didn't try to set up too many crazy things. I feel like the craziest or like not really outlandish, but like the most like definitive thing they set in the finale was Steve's storyline where they're like, oh, he's a junior league baseball coach now or whatever. But everyone else, it was just, Dustin went to college. I mean, Lucas and Max, I don't even think they said what they did. They just went to the movies. Will went to a bar somewhere or like moved to a city.
San Francisco.
Yeah, so they
Probably.
keep it pretty vague, so you can kind of fill in the dots of like, they just move on in life. And for me, that feels satisfying. I almost like that better than them being like, well, actually, Dustin became a project manager at this company. I like that they keep it open ended. You can kind of fill in your head canon of like, oh, I bet Dustin would be an engineer for NASA, or oh, I bet Lucas would work, blah blah blah. Just kind of showing them growing up, moving on, but still being friends. I thought it was kind of funny that Max was in the D&D group in the final episode, given as she totally blew them off last season when they were trying to convince her to play D&D. But I bet being in a coma for 2 years kind of changes your outlook on spending time with your friends. So no, I'll leave it at that. I was thoroughly satisfied with their conclusion, and I think it was the best spot you could have ended the episode at, or the series at, I guess.
Nice. How about you, Jessica?
Yeah, I think everyone except L got a very satisfactory ending. I'm sure we'll talk about the L of it all later. But it was, yeah, I think my word at the beginning could also have been safe. Like this was a very safe series finale. That's kind of neutral. I think they kind of had to do that here. Like they were definitely not throwing any big pitches or anything like that. It just, they were able to wrap everything up cleanly and nicely. And I thought there were some really great moments in the epilogue. Probably my favorite was just Dustin pulling an Eddie and, walking up onto the stage, grabbing his diploma and then flipping off the principal, which was, I think, word for word what Eddie said he was going to do when he got out of there. So I thought that was very nice, like nod. And also Dustin and Steve, like for Eddie, as they were, stabbing the mind flayer. So yeah, I think, lots of Dustin and Steve moments definitely made my top moments of the episode. I mean, I love Steve being a baseball coach for kids. Like he's just so good with kids. I thought that was a very nice full circle moment as well. And glad that he wasn't doing something that, Well, I won't say anything else. I was gonna say Steve escaped the cop allegations. People were saying he's gonna become a cop. I was like, that would make no sense and also suck. So yeah, I mean, everyone got their nice ending. Like Joyce and
Yeah.
Hopper.
Nobody faced consequences for killing multiple U.S. military members.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the military, like, just, they were bad in this and horrible. Hopefully they just left and tried to cover up what they had done in Hawkins, Indiana. Just sweep that under the rug and everyone gets away with what they were doing. So yeah. Happy with everyone's outcomes, I guess. I like, the last thing I'll say, and then shit, we can go to you. The scene between the 4 older kids on the roof where they're like, yeah. Which, I mean, I love all of these people. They're like, we'll meet up once a month. I was like, y'all are adults now. It's never happening. Like,
Yeah.
if you guys get once a year, that would be, spectacular.
Rest
But
in
yeah,
peace,
I
Steve.
mean-
You would have loved this. Boy.
Yeah. Y'all are adults now. You're not doing that. Oh yeah, and then Steve is looking for property. Another Eddie little reference in Eddie's neck of the woods. I can't remember what it's called, but I guess it's an up and coming real estate development now. He's trying to buy over there where Eddie lived. I guess it used to be a trailer park when Eddie lived there. But yeah, love these people. Nancy looks more lesbian than Robin here, and I love it. It's
Nice.
fantastic. Robin looks great. I mean, yeah, her hair is very modern, but I guess this is very much an early 90s lesbian look. So
It is
I love it.
the cusp of the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, it is like it's 89 here, right?
Yeah.
It's like literally about to be 1990.
Oh, yeah, and you guys touch upon some great points too. Like me, like how this ending kind of hit me too is thinking about like the last time I've seen my high school friends, middle school friends, and all that. And I was definitely a '90s kid, early 2000s, and I definitely so I didn't have Dungeons and Dragons with them, but I did have other nerdy hobbies with them. We did Warhammer. We did Mage Knights. I don't know if anyone played that. Mage Knights were a lot of fun. It's kind of like
Oh, yeah.
Warhammer, but already painted, so you don't have to deal with the paint fumes and hating yourself for not being able to paint good. But yeah, we did that with them, and then the big event was we would do LAN parties in my basement, and those were so much fun. We used to get so angry at each other and throw things. Oh, it was so good. So I miss that about my childhood.
Yeah.
So I had that feel, and like I am now. I'm in my mid 30s, so I try to make an effort to reconnect with them. And what we started doing is we're trying to go to the movies more together. So I still haven't seen Avatar, and we're trying to plan that. So it should be fun to get together with the guys. But yeah, it hit home, and I feel like for at least we started with talking about the party. I feel like it did a good job for the main party, and then for the teens. The only segue I have here is kind of discussing the love triangle, if we want to dare to go into this area. And for me, and maybe it's asking for too much or reading into things or whatever, but I thought it would have been a cool ending to leave Nancy and Steve on a weird note where like maybe they like rekindle something and like leave that just really ambiguous, but they kind of had a definitive Nancy's strong, independent woman doing her own thing. Steve's got it. Did they say he had a new? Yeah, they were
He has a
joking.
new girlfriend every
joked
week
about-
or something.
Yeah.
New girl. So it's like, okay, they went that route, and that's very definitive. But it would have been nice if there was some like glimmer that just made people like kind
I
of get
almost-
enraged at the end. But
I almost
yeah.
feel like they tried
Oh, maybe.
tried to hint at it and then shot it down because he was like, you could always come move back here, and everyone was like, no.
No.
So it was like, yeah.
So that would have been my own. But I feel like as people come into the show from their different angles, like for me, I would have liked that. But I'm sure the people that are shipping and like heavily invested in the love triangle, like I could see that being like, kerosene on a fire or something. So maybe they did the right decision. But I thought it would have been a nice little nod at the end.
I'm so glad
They
I'm
could
not
have made
Steve
a
fan.
throuple work with these characters.
Bring it into the modern age.
Yeah. Those existed back
amorous.
then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's rewrite it.
I did like Steve and Jonathan's, moment, the life-saving moment. I think that was, and then their conversation afterwards. I mean, that was like no, like please, like if there was one character I was like needs to make it out alive, but was really afraid they were going to kill off, it was Steve. So yeah, they did a cut to black and everything only for him to catch him, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm very glad that he did not die. It was an emotional moment with Dustin after that too, but their conversation was funny. They were like, I don't like you. I was like, I think you guys do like each other a little bit. But yeah, I'm glad Steve cleared the air as far as like, I don't actually have any designs on Nancy. I'm just rage baiting you.
And I will say, at least for me, with the Nancy character, I know sometimes like characters like that could be written poorly, and I'm sure there was some gripes throughout the seasons, but she kind of did it for me for this final episode. Like I feel like she earned like her, I don't know, what's the lack of a better word, her BA-ness. I don't know. Like she like going after, like volunteering to go after, like it all felt earned to me. It didn't feel like out of nowhere. Like she was the one in many seasons fighting back.
Crazy character development if you think about where she started from.
Yeah, and it felt earned. And
yeah,
it's one of those story arcs.
Yeah,
Steve too. Yep.
And Dustin, like they had great character development.
Steve just has good chemistry with most of the actors. I think it's really interesting watching this show, and I think you can, I'm not going to say who, we're not going to get into these weeds, but I think you can kind of tell who's going to have a career after the show is over and who might not find it.
Yeah.
Oof.
Number one person who will have a career after this, Jamie Campbell Bower.
we know that for sure.
Who also had a career before this.
Yeah, Jamie Campbell Bower. We need to have an aside on him, I think, at some point, because it's
we legit have not talked about him at all yet.
No, which is crazy because we talked about the things we liked. I don't think I've liked anything in this season better than Jamie Campbell Bower, and I don't even feel like that's coming from a biased. He's going to be in Rings of Power, which is a show I like and care about more than Stranger Things. It seems to be the unanimous opinion of pretty much everyone on the internet. I'm seeing nothing but praise, and everyone's giving him his flowers for terrific performance. I think the smartest decision this show has made in the entire final season was keeping him out of the prosthetics and makeup for as much as they could.
Give us a better photo.
But all of like the mind kind of dimension stuff, every time it was just him using his face, he is 1,000,000% more menacing when it's just Jamie Campbell Bower as opposed to when it's Red Voldemort or whatever. But no, I thought it was, I thought he did an incredible job. I liked the bait and switch where they made it seem like they were doing that cheap, you can be the good guy, you don't have to be evil.
That was great.
And he was just like, nah, I like being evil.
Yeah.
Like, thank you. I was really worried for a second because I theorized about that in the last stream. I was like, I think there's a chance that you find out he's been controlled by the mind flayer, and then he breaks
Which he
out,
was.
which he
But
was.
then also
But then he's like, yeah, I
he
wanted
was
to
like,
be.
yeah.
But yeah.
That actually brings up a good point from that interview I mentioned earlier. There's a good clip in there of the showrunners talking about that decision of how they wanted to handle the character and that story arc at the end. And I think I'm definitely paraphrasing. I don't remember it exactly, but they were basically saying that when they were going through and hashing out, like, and could they go that redeeming story arc route, they just felt like he's done too much evil to be able to be fully redeemed. So they felt like the only natural thing is to go towards the finale they went with. But it's interesting that they did explore it and see if it was feasible to give him some kind of redemption arc. But yeah.
It felt very Tolkienian for them to be like, here's your opportunity to repent. And like the opportunity for pity and mercy is there in front of you, but oftentimes the evil character will not take that. So
I mean,
like,
honestly, there's a whole article you could write out there about the comparisons of Vecna and Sauron and the Mind Flayer and Morgoth. Like, you could draw a lot of parallels there. And speaking of Sauron, I mean, this is exactly my point in Rings of Power, where I really want to see the Sauron armor done in Rings of Power, because it's such a cool and iconic look. But also, Charlie Vickers makes the role. I mean, his face, his emotions, his acting, and I think the Vecna performance just proves why, you know, hiding villains behind armor or prosthetics can be really limiting sometimes. But yeah.
I'll try to pull up for the potential of someone listening to this podcast with knowing nothing about Rings of Power. I will pull up a quick photo of Mr. Charlie Vickers. Here's the fastest one I could find, but definitely some similarities. And we're going to have
a blonde
Charlie
one.
Vickers.
That would be.
Here we go. Here's a blonde one. Dun dun dun. But yeah, so we're gonna have a show that has Charlie Vickers and Jamie Campbell Bower. It's gonna be interesting.
Wait, I had like a good Jamie Campbell Bower face picture that we should share, because it's just good expressions. His face acting in the finale was really, really good. I'm trying to think of what I've seen him in.
I just think it'll be, I mean, we don't know officially yet who Jamie Campbell Bower will be playing. I believe the leaks we've put out have pointed him in the direction of playing an elf character from the books. I think it's fairly assumed at this point he will play a good character, which also stems from a lot of what he himself has said about how playing villains has taken a role in his mental health, how he's really excited to finally play a character he feels like comes from a space of love and light. And I don't know, I think it's going to be interesting to see the complete tonal shift of, you know, him playing this terrifying, almost Sauron-esque performance. I mean, he could have been a good Sauron in Rings of Power, honestly. But to see, you know, how his range goes from just pure evil to an elf character who, you know, they range a little bit on the spectrum, but I'd say most elf characters are pretty firmly in the, you know, lawful good kind of alignment. So it'll be very interesting to see, you know, the diversity of performance, and I'm very interesting to see what he brings to whichever character he's playing, which no one has any clue.
Yeah, we've seen. I've never seen him play. Like his personality in interviews is very, very different from any character I've ever seen him play on screen. He's very soft-spoken, kind of sweet, like wholesome about him. And I mean, his most recent roles have all kind of been villain characters. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that other side of him. Hopefully, I mean, he can be a good character, not necessarily be like a sweetheart. But at least getting some more showcasing of his range. I'm sure he'll get to like display emotions like this, whoever he's playing, because the second age is not a nice time. So
Yeah, it's an interesting point you bring up too, because I've seen it before from other like interviews and actors speaking of other actors or people that they looked up to. It seems like a lot of time, definitely there's exceptions to the rule and all that, but it seems like people that play villains are typically really nice in person, but the inverse is also true. People that play overly nice characters are usually bad people in person. I
mm,
don't know if get in trouble for calling out people, but if you think of Ellen, she that was a famous cancellation where she's known for being really nice in her interviews, and then you hear about the behind the scenes from so many people, and it's like, oof. But
Mhm.
but Bill
just a general,
Skarsgård is apparently super nice guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm always jealous every time I see Jamie interview with this sweatshirt. I love this sweatshirt. I want it. If there's any, if
Always
there's
like looks so comfy.
if any internet sleuths know where this is from, let me know.
put out a call. If we get a chance to, if anyone in Fellowship of Fans, you included, get a chance to interview Jamie at some sort of press event, if we get lucky enough to go to San Diego Comic-Con or something this year, we gotta ask him about the sweater. That's the number one question.
Where did you get that sweater?
Yeah.
And follow up, when did you start listening to Sleep Token? Oh man.
I like this comment from David in the chat. I think we did mention that the epilogue was directly influenced by the multiple endings, but I don't think we mentioned that the credits were directly based on the credits, which is interesting because I love the credits of Return of the King. And I know that, yeah, we've chatted a little bit about that because there's that one shot of Nancy that makes it seem like these might be like AI generated, but I actually looked at the screen cap of that scene where she's holding the gun and her fingers really do look that jacked up in like the actual picture. So I don't think that this is like an
I hope
AI.
not. I don't want to get too in
Yeah.
the weeds of it. I think that's quite possibly the worst way possible they
Mhm.
could end this series, a series that's based so much on the like fundamentals of art and the power of creatives and like all working together. To end it on a note with AI generated credits would really just be
While paying homage to Tolkien, like
exactly
a Tolkien
would
adaptation,
be the
like
most
across the
insulting,
board.
horrible things to do. I
Yeah,
just
her
hope
fingers
that
are weird.
I hope they address it. I hope that an artist steps forward and they're like, "Oh yeah, the person who did all the season posters also did the credits." That's all I need.
No, it's cutting it off. It's cutting off the
And
finger
it's
part.
it literally I couldn't find a better photo, but you can kind of tell in the side there, like zoom in.
Yeah,
They're
they're like
definitely
wrapped over and like this was before I guess she learned how to be a gun wielding badass. But okay, so David said they did mention the actual artist on Instagram, so that's good news. They do look like that. Well, more to come. I mean, well, I will want to get to the bottom of this because I really hope. Because the credits were really cool. Also, yeah, can we talk about the needle drop in the credits? I mean, great needle drop, but I feel like using heroes in your coming of age TV show is like a cheat code in the same way that using On the Nature of Daylight is like a cheat code to cueing your audience to tears.
On the Nature of Daylight's one of my favorite songs. I'm so
It's
glad
so
you mentioned
good.
that.
Like I don't
It's
even
so
not
good.
like it. I think it's so good, but it low key is a cheat code.
It is a cheat
to
code. Oh,
yeah, just making your audience cry and like upping the emotions of whatever you're trying to convey in the scene.
the best
But
episode.
if done well, like I can't argue with its effectiveness, and it totally works here.
If we're
Like,
throwing out musical reference, they did Iron Maiden's The Trooper during this scene, which was awesome.
this one during the graduation.
Yeah, they did
Oh.
Iron Maiden. At least one part of the scene it had that, and I was like, "Oh my god, so sick!" I thought that the Duffer Brothers had like an interview where they're like, "We really hope to get this song in there." I thought it was this, but no, they were talking about, which is also really cool, is Prince's songs. They got Purple Rain and his other song in there, but they had Iron Maiden, which was
Yeah. I do remember like a slowed down version of Heroes being played at another point in the show, but obviously I had forgotten at that point that they've used it. I'm trying to think, other places that it's been used effectively, not in Stranger Things. Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's actually pivotal to that movie / book, like it is a part of the plot. And then the other one I can remember is Jojo Rabbit. I think they used it at the end. Maybe I
devastating.
can't remember. But yeah, here it wasn't like, I mean, it definitely conveys a very nice sentiment that relates to the show, and I think very much sums up the arcs of these characters. But it's not like, I don't know. It's a different needle drop type than like Master of Puppets from season 4. You know, that's like a plot relevant needle drop, I guess.
That is fair. We also got Landslide. That's another song that gets me now as I get older. I'm like, oh, how dare they? How dare they fit that one in?
When did that song come out? Now I feel like I need to Google it.
I feel like the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Landslide.
I think the funniest memes to come out of the finale are the ones that are like, Mike is going to hear X song in like 5 years and have the crash out of the century because it's like relevant to his life or reminds him of 11. So I feel like Landslide was a great song for that scene.
So good. Yeah, soundtrack was pretty on point, and the power of the show to bring back Kate Bush, put her top of the charts. Crazy. All right.
I'm so sick of that Kate Bush song.
It was such a good scene in season 4 or whenever it was.
Yeah.
I feel, I don't know if we talked about this, but like the constant redux of it throughout this season was like not working for me.
Well,
I
it
guess
worked so well in season 4 because it was a song that was famously pretty obscure and niche. I mean, it wasn't like a super popular song. I think there was even a bunch of articles and stuff that came out. I mean, Kate Bush herself talked about how like the show like put her song on like #1 top, like the top of the charts. And so in between seasons 4 and 5, the song became very popular and played out to the point where when they started using it in season 5, I was just like, all right, wrap it up. But yeah, anyway.
All right. So I think I'm going to go off script a bit here, and I think we'll jump around a bit. So I think we should talk about the ending a little bit more, and we'll go on a scale of Breaking Bad to Game of Thrones. Where do you feel this ending ended. So we kind of skipped over some of the characters. Like we didn't talk too much about, the adults or 8, but for the most part, we covered the majority. So we had a couple days to reflect on this. Do we feel? Yeah, it seems like everyone said at the beginning, good, satisfactory. So I feel like that's saying it's not quite Breaking Bad, where it's almost unanimously considered perfect.
Hmm.
And then we go on the opposite end of Game of Thrones, which many people loathe season 8, at least the ending. Yeah, I wish I had a show to compare this to. It's like
I know.
it's
I would
tough.
almost like.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of shows that have even like gotten to their series finales without being canceled.
Mhm.
I'm going to say this is the first one I'm thinking of. I'm going to compare it to Smallville because if I can remember correctly, that had like a decent ending. It's not like they did anything crazy either way. Like it was fine, from what I can remember. This was like 10 plus years ago maybe that I watched that finale. And that was for a show that I'd been watching since it premiered, basically. Maybe I started like in season 3. So yeah, they landed the plane. They didn't take any big swings like D&D did for Game of Thrones and just absolutely like shoot themselves in the foot. But for having to wrap up that many plot points, it was safe.
It's so crazy, like thinking about Game of Thrones, because it really is one of those shows where you hear nothing but negative things about the finale. And I didn't watch the show while it was coming out. I saw it after it already finished. And it was one of those crazy things where I watched the whole show with the knowledge that everyone hates the finale. And so like in my mind the whole time, I was like running through all the possible scenarios of how it could end. And it's still somehow completely sidelined. Like I was so caught off guard, and I was like, and I went into it so prepared. I was like, oh, this could happen. And I saw someone make a comparison to Stranger Things about how it could have ended, in like to give people who haven't watched Game of Thrones but watched Stranger Things an example of how bad it was. And I think it's the best explanation, and it really puts into light how good they actually did end it and didn't end it like Game of Thrones, which is somebody said, if at the end of episode 4, when Vecna was holding Will up in the chokehold, Erica Sinclair jumped out of nowhere with a knife and killed Vecna, and he died, and then the rest of the 4 episodes were about the kids versus the government.
I think Nancy would be a better comparison.
It could be Nancy.
If Nancy did it. Because Nancy's proven herself to be like able to do that, but it would still be random.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yes, I totally agree. Like they could have they could have really done something horrible just to throw off people's expectations of what they thought might happen, like just to subvert expectations. I feel like that's the trap that D&D got into. They didn't know where Martin was going with the story, but they'd been reading, they've been too into the Reddits and saw how people like might correctly guess what was happening.
And again, let's go back to Rings of Power. I mean, that's why I'm so grateful that it is based off the books, because we know where it ends. We know that Isildur will cut the ring from his finger. Elendil and Gil-galad will fight Sauron. There'll be the Battle of the Last Alliance. We know about everything that happens with Numenor. These things are set in stone, and JD and Patrick are not going to go online and be like, ooh, this fan theory about the Harfoots actually being the ones to defeat Sauron is pretty interesting. Maybe we should do that.
Well, when you think about it, in a couple thousand years.
Yeah, it just makes so much. This person made such a good point, because Frodo destroys Sauron, so why it should be the Harf. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, that kind of thought process can't happen, which is why I feel
they're legally not allowed to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have Storyteller in the chat being very vulnerable, saying that he liked the Game of Thrones ending. So I will also be vulnerable and make a bold claim that is probably going to infuriate so many people. I would compare this ending to the ending of How I Met Your Mother, which a lot of people did not like, but I thought it was sufficient. Like, I liked that ending of that show. And I feel like it did the same thing. Like, it captured the spirit of the show at the end of the day. This show, no one really dies. So if they had like a bloodbath, it would make absolutely no sense for this show because the theme hasn't been a lot of people dying the whole time. A lot of the main characters, right? It's more optimistic approach. How I Met Your Mother was like the same thing. It was just like, I forget, it's been a while. I forgot the main character.
Ted.
Moose. Ted, yeah. Ted is just like constantly unsure of who he's gonna date, and Robin was, there throughout the entirety of his life. Like, it made sense to me how it ended. It followed the theme of the show.
I'm gonna go also controversial and say that I agree with you. I loved How I Met Your Mother. It was one of my favorite sitcoms growing up. Hated the finale. Hated the finale. Was so upset with it. Went back to rewatch the show later, and I finished season 1, and I was just like, damn, no, they really did end it exactly how they set it up at the beginning. The problem is just that they didn't anticipate or predict the way that characters would grow and develop from point A to point, Z or whatever. Yeah. And that's the problem I have. If you watch the first season and then watch the epilogue, it's a very satisfying. It's like, oh, of course this is going to happen with Ted. They set it up from literally episode 1. That's why this is where the story begins, is because this is the purpose of him telling the story to his kids. But I think it's another one of those problems, much like Stranger Things, where it's a show where they, in that case, they did have the finale thought out ahead of time, but they didn't anticipate how much of a success it would be. They didn't anticipate how many seasons they would get. They didn't anticipate how much the actors would embody the characters and grow and change. And I think a lot of that really can be said for Stranger Things too. I mean, there's a lot of Steve's a great example. He was supposed to be killed off in season 1, and then he became the literal fan favorite of the show and survived all the way to the finale. I mean, it's hard to predict some of these things when you're writing a story.
Yeah, I figured I'd throw up an image real quick in case anyone watching hasn't seen the show.
So does Ted end up with Robin, or does Robin end up with Barney?
Should we spoil it or make her watch all?
I'm never gonna watch it. I'm never gonna watch it.
I'm gonna get into such a tangent.
Well, I know. So I just can't remember.
Okay, stop watching or skip ahead if you don't want spoilers for How I Met Your Mother.
Oh my gosh, this show has been out for 10 years. Spoil the damn show.
So the entire last season is all about the wedding between Barney, the guy with the umbrella, the two characters on the end, Barney and Robin.
I know the characters.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I didn't know how much.
No, it's fine. I'm kidding.
The entire last season is all focused on their wedding, and there's so many plot elements about how they don't think they should be together or they're having second thoughts, and the show drills it into your brain over and over again. This is actually why they're a good match for each other. This is why they'll support each other. And then literally 10 minutes after they get married, there's a flash forward and they're like, oh yeah, we got divorced. And then immediately Ted goes to make a move on Robin by bringing the blue French horn that he did in the first episode.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah, it's...
But there was also his wife story, right? With the illness and all that. So yeah. There's some emotion in it.
I don't have a problem with his wife dying and he's trying to find a second chance at love with Robin. I actually think that works really well. Robin never wanted to give him kids. He ended up he got to live that dream. He got to get married and have kids. The issue I had is that if the end game is Robin, don't spend an entire season convincing the audience why Barney and Robin are a good match and why they work together, just to pull the rug out at the last second and be like, oh shoot, we forgot Robin's supposed to end up with Ted. Okay, forget that the entire last season literally takes place over one weekend. That's the premise. It starts on a Friday and it's 20 episodes, and then the last one's on a Sunday, and it's all about their wedding weekend. Why would you make me sit through 20 episodes of a wedding that goes nowhere?
So Aiden has some unresolved feelings about the How I Met Your Mother finale, apparently.
I do.
This
And I do want to clarify, like, okay, Game of Thrones finale, storyteller, you're safe here. It's okay if you like the finale. I did like elements of the finale. I think just the Daenerys stuff is what bothered me. I didn't want that to happen. And the Bran stuff. But we don't have to get into that. And I think David has made some good points that, yeah, I think the finale shouldn't have taken big swings. So I'm glad that it played it safe. I think that's what it needed to do. That is not a bad thing, in my opinion. It shows that they weren't swayed by like internet. There were some crazy theories going around for season 5, like that people were like really digging into it. And it's like, okay, well, they were, they could have changed things, I guess, or theorizing going back to last season. Like, obviously, at this point, the episodes were done, so they couldn't have changed stuff over the past week or whatever. But yeah, I think what they did made sense. Like,
that's gotta be the most stressful thing as a creative. I can't even imagine putting out a show of this size and having a week gap between episodes and then just being like, I wonder what everyone thinks about my show.
Like,
and then you just go
shit,
online,
we
you're
didn't
like,
even think about
oh,
that.
shit, that's such a better idea. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
Because they have to think that. I mean, I'm sorry. People who write shows, they're humans just like the rest of us. I refuse to believe that they all have this. I know some of them do, but I refuse to believe they all have this God complex where they're like, I'm the only one capable of writing a story like this. There's billions of humans out there who are also creative and good writers. There's got to be a lot of experiences like that where a writer is just like, oh, shit, that actually is a much better idea than what I did.
It has to happen.
Yeah.
One thing too, like I don't know if this is true. Maybe you guys heard interviews with the Duffer Brothers and Noah potentially, but like at least like when I went through the process of creating the music video for my piano song, like I was pulling from real life experiences, and I felt like at least in my bubble, it gave a bigger emotional impact. So like I know there's a lot of criticism to the Will storyline, but I'm wondering if maybe the Duffer Brothers saw what Noah was going through as a young kid traversing through, that interesting
yeah.
and like and that probably like kind of fed into the human side of their story, and that's why they wanted to incorporate it more to get to more people. But yeah, that's I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of different perspectives and experiences, and I know that like some people have criticized Will's storyline, but everyone has different experiences. And my wife, her uncles are gay, and they're in their like 40s to 50s, so they were teenagers in the 80s, and so I kind of talked to him about this finale. I was like, how do you feel they handled Will's storyline? As people who, it's a shared experience for them. They went through these same sort of experiences in the same time period, and they liked it. They really liked the way they handled it. They liked the coming out scene. And I've seen, a lot of people hate on it, or they criticize that, oh, you could never do that in the 80s or whatever. And it's like, I wonder how many of these people are, they're teenagers now, and they're just projecting their sort of opinion of how they imagine life was in the 80s. But then, I go and talk to people who actually were, living in the 80s and went through these same shared experiences, and they don't share that opinion. And so it's just, I don't know, it's always curious to think like you see all these opinions online, but they all come from different places and backgrounds. I mean, maybe you grew up in a very welcoming and accepting home, and so you don't really have a lot of that, trauma or negative feelings about, oh, you could never get away with this. Or maybe you grew up in a bad situation. So I think things like these are always hard to navigate and to do respectfully in a way that does justice, that makes people who have gone through these struggles feel seen and feel heard. Because at the end of the day, a scene like Will's is a very personal experience, and it's not going to resonate and hit with everyone. It's not going to be, the pattern for, oh, this is exactly how it was for me. And that's just the hard thing about it. So, I mean, it makes someone like me not able to relate to it. I mean, I didn't have that shared experience. I don't really know what those emotions or feelings are like. So I try to like limit the amount that I dig into that scene or criticize it, because at the end of the day, I don't really have a stance or a place to talk about or critique that scene, because what do I know about it?
Yeah, I think modern audiences also like see a representation of something and they're like, this has to represent every aspect of like this experience for everyone, or it's bad. And it's just such a like horrible way of thinking about media, like that it's so limiting for like this type of narrative. And yeah, I think another criticism I've seen being thrown around is that, yeah, like you said, this isn't realistic for like the 80s. And I'm like, well, we're in a sci-fi show, first of all. And if we can't be like aspirational in our fiction, like what are we even doing here? Why does it have to reflect like the realities of the time? Like, I'm sorry that, like Will, it doesn't show like Will experiencing, hate crimes in the epilogue. Like, why is that what we're trying to see in our media? So like, so what if it's not like realistic to the 80s? Like, let's,
Or people criticize, oh, why did he come out to a group of 13 people? Like,
right, some that he didn't
statistically, one of
know.
them would have called him a slur. No, these guys have fought monsters together. They don't like, they probably are so far beyond that. And I think that
Yeah.
was kind of the point of the scene, is it's like, there was a lot of stigma and prejudice about, these kind of topics back during that time period, but they've also been to hell together, not even just figuratively, but literally. And so it's like, there does come this understanding of like, it probably isn't that big of an issue for them on a larger
Yeah.
scheme.
I think this
because
is
of
also
shared
plot
trauma.
relevant. Yeah, like to what we talked about earlier, because I think the shame and the fear that was holding Will back was part of what connected him to the hive mind, so to speak. And I think that this was how like he disconnected from the hive mind, was by confessing this
Yep.
and no longer being afraid of like this secret that he's
Mhm.
harboring that frees him from Vecna's like control or whatever that makes him like hurt. I think we mentioned it earlier.
Well,
Like being plugged into the hive mind is like what makes it limiting. But
mhm.
without that fear and shame, he's no longer plugged in, but he's still able to access
Well,
like that.
it's an exact parallel to Henry Creel, because for Will, it's his sexuality that is the fear and the tether holding him back. And for Henry Creel, it's the cave, it's his past. And in the finale, they both confront their big mental block that is keeping them tethered to the mind flayer. And when Will confronts it, he's freed and he can control his emotions, his power. And when Henry frees himself of it, we see his approach, which is to double down and no, I am still an evil person. And I think that is also a really interesting parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
It's
is really
just
good.
like it's a media literacy thing. I feel like I should call the fans or whatever the hive mind of the show. Some of them, like, yeah, when they don't understand this, it's just media literacy. It's like you just clearly stated the reason for the Will coming out scene and all that. There was a purpose. It wasn't just like, hey, we're gonna randomly throw this in there, guys, for no reason. But this opens up an amazing tangent I'm going to go on for very fast that's related to Lord of the Rings and the subject. There is an awesome movie called The Green Book starring Viggo Mortensen, and this was based in
It's a
the
good
Deep
movie.
South in the 60s. And and this is based on a true story. So there was obviously there was racism, and this has a theme of dealing with sexuality in it as well. And this was the Deep South in the 60s, and they overcome it in this story. So that was the 60s, and Hawkins is set 20 years later. It's totally feasible that the storyline that the team goes through in Indiana, it makes sense that these conversations could have been had by, the characters, etc. So highly
Well,
recommend this. This is a great movie.
and it also has a lot
Wait,
to say
sorry.
about, social circles. I mean, I think a lot of people kind of project this idea that just because there was a lot of prejudice back in the day, that everyone was complicit in it. It was just an inherent ideology that everybody had. And I think in a show like Stranger Things, it doesn't make sense for their social circle or their party to be a part of that kind of, I don't know, that narrative or that mentality, because it just, like I said, they've just been through so much more. Like, it really, like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think we're getting towards the end here. We don't want to go too long, but I figure, let's see, how can we wrap this up? Well, we didn't talk about the 11 ending, so maybe
Yeah.
we should
Oh my
probably talk
gosh.
about that. And then after that, we'll do some closing thoughts, so we don't ramble for too long, because I could come into a million different other tangents. So let's leave it at the 11 ending. Do we want to start with our theories of how, like, do we think the ending's true, or what do we believe the ending to be? Do we want to start there, or let's try it? I guess
Let's go
we'll
for
do
it.
that. Let's go for it. So Aiden, do you think the way the ending was depicted is actually what happened? Like, do you believe that Eleven's still out there wandering?
No, I think she's dead. Regardless of, like, if Callie didn't bleed out in time, I don't think there's any way that she would have known when to start the illusion. I don't know if she could have done it
Mm.
over that distance. I don't know. I think there's a lot of plot holes that could say that she is dead, and that's just Mike trying to rationalize it. But at the same time, I don't really know how she would have been able to jump out of the truck without, they were packed in there like sardines. I don't think she would have been able to open the back and hop out without at least a couple of them seeing her.
Yeah, I think I saw a breakdown video where someone did a frame by frame, and you can see her actually leave the truck, but immediately after that she disappears. So I guess that open to interpretation. Did she sneak away, or did she literally vanish? So yeah, that's the other part of the breakdown, which people are reading into. I think one of the theories was when she was in the truck, it was just a projection the whole time. But when you look through, it looks like she's touching someone's arm and stuff and interacting with people in a way that would make it seem like she's not a projection and actually there. But yeah, that was just one breakdown I saw, but I'm sure someone could take the same footage and flip it the other way. But yeah, how about you, Jess?
Yeah, I think that that Mike's story is a whole load of cope. Like, Mike became an author, and he's a storyteller, and he, even at this point where they're playing this D&D game, like, he has not dealt with and closed this door on his life, and he's still leaving it open. And I mean, in the way that people are grieving, sometimes it helps to, be able to think about them, their loved one, not suffering, or being in a better place, or whatever you believe. If you're not a believer in an afterlife, then you might say something like that to someone who is, to help them cope. And yeah, I think it's a kindness for him to do that. I don't even think that he necessarily believes it, and ultimately, it doesn't matter what I think. Or I guess, yeah, I doubt that they'll ever reveal to us, but if I had to, take a guess, I don't think that is what happened. None of what he said is really believable to me, personally. But yeah, I think that's the point. Is it's kind of we don't know, and it's apocryphal, and
Oof.
That way they, yeah, that I do. I like, it's a very, I feel like it's a very similar thing to that whole,
Yeah.
apocryphal tale of the origin of Mithril. Like, they're not going to tell us, and I guess, yeah, it doesn't really matter to.
Yeah, it doesn't really. If they're not ever
Yeah.
going to do a sequel, it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. She's dead to the audience. We're never going to see her again.
Nor are the characters in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. I guess I'll do devil's advocate. I'll take the positive. I'll look at it with glass half full. There was like two things that stuck out to me that made it seem like, but like, yeah, you could cherry pick whatever you want, go either direction. But the two things that kind of stuck with me was like the scene of her in the upside down. Like it's like you visibly see her like fading. I feel like it doesn't seem like she's getting swept away by something or whatever. So that made it to me seem more like maybe it was some kind of force ghost thing or whatever. But the other thing that's kind of maybe a plot hole, unless you guys caught this and I totally missed it, like it would make sense to kill her off so there's like no magic in the world, right? Like make it all clean, like because the Duffer brothers themselves say like it's kind of an end of their childhood, and she was like a symbol of like the magic of childhood, basically. But doesn't isn't he still like a sorcerer or something? Like
I don't know.
I
They
know-
never really
I
like.
think it's just from
Oh.
Vecna's.
I
I don't know if he is because
of
he could,
Vecna.
he could only use his powers when he tapped into the hive mind. He couldn't just because 11 could just use them whenever.
Gotcha.
And they made it very. I mean, that's the whole reason they had to like shock the Demogorgon to bring it back to life, is because he can't just use his powers whenever he wants to. He has to be near the hive mind. And so I think that, at least to me, says that he wouldn't be able to draw powers anymore.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, that might sway me a little bit in the other direction then. Because I was thinking like if Will still had some magical ability, then that kind of like leaves it messy and a room for her to still exist. But if they did kind of cleanly tie that up, then yeah, it doesn't make sense for her to be like a nomad with special abilities. Like I feel like, dare I say this, it could open up doors for a sequel down the line or something with like her somehow being more magical again when she's in her 30s or 50s or whatever. But yeah, dare I say.
Or the 11 rings stopped working and the one was destroyed. That's so funny.
I love it. This picture next to the last picture, Shiv, I think is really interesting. I saw someone make this connection. Just the way that Mike is talking about Elle during the whole epilogue scene.
Oh, yeah, her outfit is
like
the same.
Very reminiscent. I mean, she's wearing the same like color scheme, the way that he's picturing her in his mind, that she wore throughout season 1. Like he's not letting go of this like part of his life. It's kind of sad. Like I'm sad for Mike.
Yeah, Mike had probably the most depressing ending of anyone, I feel like.
Yeah.
But he's a writer.
He's not gonna ever.
He's a writer, so it,
right. He's very, it's very Stephen King of him. Like this is like the same thing that happens, and it with our main like point of view characters like becomes the author when he grows up. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think we're coming to the end of our stream, so I'll open it up real quick. Anyone still in the chat? Is there anything we didn't cover, or is there anything we missed that you think we should talk about real quick? And if anyone has anything, type it out.
I do think it was a fun Easter egg that Hopper is going to be a police chief in Montauk, which was the original name for the series.
Yep, that led me down a rabbit hole thinking about the Montauk project and all that. I'm like,
Mhm.
how is this related at all? And then yeah. But it's really cool that they originally were gonna have the show called Montauk. That
Yeah.
would have made a lot of sense.
And they said they wouldn't, like, none of the spin-offs or anything would be related. So that's not going to happen. But it is
Oh,
interesting to think in universe, if he's going to Montauk, what could go down, even
well,
if we
that's
won't ever see it.
yeah, that's a good point. We actually we talked about that. We wanted to discuss briefly the spinoffs. I think the Duffer Brothers confirmed that the spinoff is going to revolve around the rock that
Mhm.
he finds in the briefcase, which makes sense. I mean, of all the plot threads they put in the finale, there's this mysterious rock. There's a scientist randomly bleeding out in the middle of a cave in the Arizona desert. He knows about the rock. He warns Henry. He's like, "Don't let it take you over," or whatever. So wherever the rock is from comes from a place of understanding where whichever characters found it, they obviously have had an experience with it. I think that could be an interesting premise. I also think I was talking to my wife about this. There isn't really a spin-off of the show they can do without having it set in the past. Because if you think about it, the Upside Down is gone. The connection to the Abyss is lost. The Mind Flayer is killed. What makes Stranger Things? Like, what is the essential aspect of Stranger Things? And I would argue it is the Upside Down and the connection to the Upside Down. Because if you can't use the cast anymore, and you can't use, no one's returning, it's not the same story, and you try to make a new project set in the Stranger Things universe, really, what can you use to like justify why it's a Stranger Things project? Because otherwise, it's just the real world. Because the only thing
I'd
that
argue
makes
that you can't even. Yeah,
yeah,
like there's nothing else that they can do if they can't do any of those things. I don't even think the Upside Down is like enough.
Yeah.
To be
And
honest, I think you just have to come up with something new.
If only.
and are you talking for the Rock? Are you talking about like a live action sequel?
Yeah, I think that's like the next series they're doing. Who knows when
There
that
is
will
something
be?
animated. Yeah,
Yeah,
something.
there's
This
Tales
is
from
like an
85.
in-between adventure of like some of the seasons and it's animated. Maybe I was gonna ask, like,
Yeah, it looks like okay, so they have this animated series that will feature the original characters. I thought I heard something about that.
yeah. It's like in
But okay,
between 2 and 3, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I remember seeing.
from
But
85. Okay, so then there's this animated series, and then they're talking about a live action then that revolves around the Rock. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I guess we'll see how they go about it.
I'm confused on The Rock because, like, is this like a retcon of the play? They're talking about the rock that was in the briefcase that like connected Henry to the Mind Flayer
I
and dragged
mean,
him into Dimension
yeah,
X, which in the play was a bunch of Mind Flayer particles that infected him and
it's
dragged him
probably
into
a
the Dimension
small.
X.
It's probably a small recon. I think particles, magic rock. I mean,
Right.
it's
I
at
took
the
it
end
as
of the
the
day, it's still a
same
MacGuffin.
thing. Yeah, but then they said that the live action about the rock is not going to be like a background on the Mind Flayer. And I'm like, well, then what the hell is it going to be about? Because that's what that rock is like
Mm-hmm.
Mind Flayer particles or whatever, I guess. So I'm confused on what is going on in that case, unless I completely misunderstood the finale. Why did Joyce? Oh, we got a
Oh,
we got a question.
this is a heater. This is a
Yeah.
heater of a question.
Yeah.
So I just saw something today. I did not watch an interview, but I did see someone
I remember
mention
it. I
that,
saw that too. Yeah.
yeah, like originally, was it Steve that was supposed to get the final blow? Someone else was supposed to get the
Oh,
final
I didn't see
blow.
that.
And Winona Ryder like argued that it should be Joyce, which I feel like I'm okay with that choice just because poor Joyce,
Well, she's
has
kind of
been
the mom
through
of the
it
group.
since season 1. And no one ever believed her about anything for the longest time for multiple seasons. And she was always right. She was going
Mm-hmm.
through it with her poor baby Will. So, like, Vecna being behind it all from the beginning and, hurting her baby and doing all of this works for me to give her like that final final blow. Yeah. So
as far as the Joyce and Hopper realizing it was their classmate, this is what I thought you were talking about, Jessica. I saw an article where the showrunners, as Harry mentioned earlier, they've been saying a lot of things. Maybe they shouldn't be saying as much as they're saying. But one of the things they did say is that Joyce and Hopper had a conversation that happened off screen where they acknowledged recognizing him as Henry. But they said they just didn't include it because they felt like it would confuse people who haven't seen the play. They felt ultimately it wasn't that important to the plot.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, it's one of those not plot holes necessarily because it's not plot relevant in my opinion. Like, what does it change except them being like, hey, isn't that Henry? But it is one of those like open-ended, like, is Derek's family still tied up in the garage kind of things. They just
they also
opened
said
too many cans.
Yeah. They also said they wanted Joyce to have an excuse to finally use the axe because, as you can see in this photo from season 1, she's had this axe and I think she's held it pretty much every season. And
I was just gonna say that because every photo I find of her, it's an axe in her hand.
Yeah. She's never gotten to use it. So I think maybe the writers started to feel like it was a little bit of Chekhov's axe at this point. But regardless, I don't know. I think it made a decent amount of sense for her to kill Vecna. I mean, like you said, she was the first one who really started getting clued into the world the Upside Down and trying to find and save Will. And I mean, her whole motivation and arc in every season has just been trying to save the people she loves from these dangers, whether it's, Russian spies or extra dimensional monsters. So I didn't have a huge issue with her killing Vecna. And she was also, I mean, she at one point she was the most famous actor in the project, and I think it was kind of billed as the Winona Ryder series when it was first announced. Like that was kind of the draw to get people to watch it. Is But yeah, I don't know. I think it was sad. It was honestly really funny because this scene felt like an answer to everyone's complaints in horror, like ever, which is when they kill the villain. And I've heard, my dad shout this at the screen. I've heard people, and even when we watched the finale, he shouted this at the screen before it happened. Don't trust that he's dead. Cut his head off. He's going to come back. And then they did. They cut his head off. I was like, that's the most satisfying horror movie ending ever because you see it so often in fiction where they think the person's dead, but they don't finish the job. So I think that was like, it was also just such a definitive way to be like, yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, we can't bring this guy back. Like, there's no open-endedness to, make a sequel featuring Vecna again.
Get some duct tape, put the head back on. It'll be fine.
But yeah.
Really, they should have burned the body. Like, then we could really be sure.
Oof. Well, he'll be in the sequel when 11's like 30, 40, and we'll get a secondary battle.
Joyce has been dying to use the axe. Like, it's, maybe it is out of character, but it's not. She's been wanting to do it. Like, I'll just say that. She's been needing an outlet for the rage that has been building up since season 1 of no one ever believing her and losing, multiple people and a fiance, or I don't know if Bob and her were engaged or married, but yeah, she's been through it, I would say.
I think it gives good closure for her too, because like maybe it could have made sense for Will to do it, and like she witnesses her son like being able to defend himself, blah blah, doesn't need to protect him. But I feel like him coming out was kind of the bigger cathartic thing for his story, for his character. So Joyce being able to, get rid of her son's like final problem or whatever. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
to me.
No need to give any of the children trauma of killing people. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if
Touche.
anyone besides like Elle and Hopper maybe really had a body count.
Mike has a kill count because he blew up the entire Upside Down and killed a bunch of pregnant women.
Oh yeah, we cannot get into the pregnant women of it all.
I will say just real quick in the defense, that was a flashback shown to the audience. I think those pregnant women were probably already dead by the time they blew
The
up
pregnant
Upside
women
Down.
were in the Upside Down.
They were in the facility that Callie was being held in. And
Oh,
she
yeah,
found
yeah.
them when she was trying to escape, which we don't know when it was, but we know it was before they found her. So
Maybe she freed them and they left.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe that is a plot hole.
Who knows? But
I know I've been arguing against there being plot holes, but that might be one.
Many plot
All right.
holes. I will say before we wrap up one of the final things until we go into a million other tangents when we're trying to wrap up, but we didn't really talk about her character at all.
Good.
The one thing I will say is she's like a phenomenal actress, and when I heard she was being attached to this, I was like, oh my god, they're gonna do so many cool things with her. Like you could picture stuff like when she was in the Terminator and stuff. I was so excited. And I feel like they just nerfed her and gave her like a character that people hate, but I feel like they hate for the unintended reasons, maybe. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, they could have done like, I guess in my head, I thought she was going to be more of like some kind of heroic person, but maybe that's too in line with what she's done in the past. And so they wrote her as the big bad on the human form. But I was hoping they did more with her. So I don't know. Anyone have any differing opinions to that?
Honestly, they could have removed the whole military plot line from the season and slightly reworked some things. And honestly, that might have been better. I feel like it just added an unnecessary like roadblock that wasn't ever really going to be a roadblock to the real conflict of the series.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they needed like a primary human antagonist now that Papa is gone. So yeah, it just didn't work for me.
It was so frustrating. The finale, I was so frustrated every time she showed up in the finale. Like she found them at the church, which that also never went anywhere. She found them at the squawk. They found like the secret base. Anytime they showed up somewhere and the characters were like, oh no, it's the feds, we gotta hide. I was just like, can you guys just give it a rest? Like you're doing important shit right now.
I'll leave it on this as the final photo, but this is. I was expecting this. I did not get this. We did get Nancy. Okay, yeah, Nancy. I think for Nancy's wardrobe, they were inspired through Rambo more. But
and she looked, with the hair and the sweatband. Yeah.
I was hoping to get some kind of nod with this, but anyway, yeah. So I think we're coming to a close here. How can we end this thing smoothly?
I guess we could answer a question in the chat super quick about 8's blood poisoning the pregnant woman. I think what they established was that for some reason, some of the kids were more magical than others, and I think 11's was the purest blood or the most closely replicated or something like that. I don't know. There was some conversation about it. I think it's part of why Vecna had a connection with 11 when they were in the facility together, but I don't know. It was just for plot reasons, I guess. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah. All right. Jessica gave me a good reminder here how we can close this thing out. So anyone tuning in that isn't a fan or knows of Fellowship of Fans, from our name, you can kind of surmise that we're a Middle Earth focused fandom. At least when we first started out, we were mainly focused on Rings of Power. And over the years, we've been branching out to other fandoms. We've covered things like House of the Dragons, Penguin, Dune Prophecy, etc., etc. So we decided, like the majority of our members watch Stranger Things, and we thought it'd be nice to cover this show as well a bit. And there's a perfect segue into Rings of Power, which would be coming out in hopefully the end of this year. Holy crap, we're in 2026.
Yep.
Wow, we could be less than a year away from the Rings of Power season 3 premiere.
We are. Trust.
We are.
Done.
We are. We are.
We are. We'll manifest it. Hopefully no delays. Give us no production delays or post-production delays. I mean,
Mhm.
but the glue holding these two shows together is this man on screen, Jamie Campbell Bower. He did an amazing job in Stranger Things, and he will be in Rings of Power. And I guess we don't know which character he's playing, but we have a good theory as to who he's playing, and it appears, like we said earlier in the stream, it'll be a more it'll be a vast difference from his Vecna / Henry character. He should be playing a character that is, well,
We
I think
can say he's playing an elf. I mean, we've
Yeah.
leaked that. I mean, Harry said it. We can repeat it. He's playing
Okay.
an elf.
he's playing an elf, and elves are typically good, pending or ignoring the kinslaying and all that. We can ignore all that,
We're
but
in the second age now. We've left the first age debauchery behind us.
so yeah. So I guess how we can end this stream here is, should I be devious? Let's be devious.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, how do I word this? I can't think of a right way to word it. I'll just spit something out and see where it goes. But we got to see Jamie play this awesome character. He's one of the highlights of Stranger Things, and he got to play, a villain. There's the rumors and what we've reported on that he's going to be playing an elf, potentially an elf that could be of canon descent or maybe not, but we have strong theories on the internet speculating that he is a canon elf. How trying to think of how to word this. I can't even think of a good way to word it right now, but are you excited to see Jamie play a character that varies from Vecna? And knowing what you know, God, I can't. I'm tongue tied because I'm
Let me take it, Shiv.
I'm gonna hit so many landmines. So if you want to take,
No, I know the landmines you're trying to avoid.
You're
I
acting
think
like there's something we're not supposed to say.
Yeah, I think that it was really nice to see Jamie's breadth of emotion that he's able to portray in this character. And with Rings of Power, what we know is that he's playing an elf and probably a good guy. And I think what he has to do a lot of times playing villains, or even when he's played good guys with an edge, is he always has that edge, or with a villain there's an ulterior motive that's hiding behind the scenes. And I think knowing going in that he's playing a good guy, and we don't know who he's playing yet, but hopefully once he wraps up press with Stranger Things, they do an announcement or some promo
Yes.
from someone, and we can find out, and then we'll really know for sure. But I think we can at least assume that we're going to be taking this guy at face value. There's not going to be an alternative, ulterior motive, or maybe he's a villain. Actually, no, we're going to know who this guy is. And like he's so good with, you know, the Henry character. Like when he was first introduced, like maybe we didn't know who he was or that he was gonna be a villain. So, but he still like had a little bit of that sinisterness. So I'm looking forward to seeing like him play someone who like we're gonna definitely see some emotion just based on like the plot lines that we know are coming up in Rings of Power. But it's just gonna be there's not gonna be that like undercurrent of like menace or something that we have to worry about. Like we can just take him at face value and like know that he's good and like witness a whole new kind of spectrum of like performance and emotion from him that I don't think I've seen before. Like, I haven't seen his entire filmography, but like I know that he's said that he's like sick of playing villains. Like he was ready for not that.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm the most excited for. Is I always get really sad when actors do get typecast because I know that a lot of actors really struggle with that, and I love watching actors able to break into different avenues and kind of set themselves apart from just a role into an actor. I think over the last couple of years, I've gotten to see Timothy Chalamet as an example of that, where I wasn't really big into Timothy Chalamet, but he's just been hitting so many different areas with his performances that like I kind of have to give him, you know, credit where credit is due. Like he does a great job at playing any kind of performance. I mean, I watched Dune and Wonka pretty much back to back, and I was like, it felt like a completely different person. And so I want to see Jamie Campbell Bower get the opportunity to do that because, I mean, even just on Twitter the last couple or like last week or so, I'm seeing so many people. They're already typecasting him. I've seen people be like, "Oh, he should play Scarecrow in the new DC universe," or "Oh, he should play the Joker," and it's like people can only see him as a villain and they just want him to keep playing villains. And I hope that Rings of Power, outside from just giving a good boost in viewership to the show, hopefully bringing in some Stranger Things fans and giving a good performance. Like I hope that, you know, it's one of those things. Rings of Power does get a lot of hate, but Timothy's a one-trick pony. What? I just said,
Quick,
Dune
JCB back
and
on
Wonka.
the screen. Take Timothy off.
Take
Oh,
Timothy.
no.
Whatever.
This isn't about Timothy.
I did feel like he was a one-trick pony, and then I saw more of his movies, and I was like, he does have range. Anyway,
Oh,
Jamie Campbell Bower.
before we go off of that tangent real quick, there is a connection with Timothy Chalamet and Middle Earth. He was in yeah, they did a rap with I don't know if I pronounce SD Kid. I don't know if that's how I pronounce it, but they mentioned Mordor and Arrakis in it, so check it out. But all right, off tangent.
Yeah, I mean that's basically it. I hope this is an opportunity for him to, you know, excel in that role and prove to people that he's capable of playing a wider range of characters because I mean, yeah, like we talked about earlier, as you can see, his real life personality does seem to be a lot more sweet and kind of tender, soft personality, whereas he plays these really harsh and creepy, manipulative characters. And I don't know. I'm very curious to see how he portrays it. I mean, I think it can be hard to play good characters who are just, you know, like lawful good and nice characters and get as much praise, if that makes sense. Because when you play an evil character, I think people can oftentimes, it's really easy to have a very emotional, intense scene and people are like, oh shit, like this guy, they're good at acting. Whereas if you play a character that's just kind of nice, I mean, like a good example, Amy Poehler as Leslie Knope. She does a great job embodying that character, but I don't think you ever really see people sit down and be like, oh, that's a masterclass acting performance, because she's just kind of good and wholesome and pure. And so I don't
I
know.
feel like at least we can say with Rings of Power that our good characters go on journeys with their development, and they're not just one note, you know, good.
Yeah.
Good, like we see maybe in Lord of the Rings. Although even in Lord of the Rings, Galadriel has we see that like darkness peeking through a little bit. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think if there's one thing we can be assured of is we'll get a good character, but it's not going to be like a one note, Leslie Knope, type character with no edge or no journey or no
Yeah.
traumatic background. Maybe who knows what's to come for
Yeah.
Jamie Campbell Bower's character. So
All right. I think I have a good way to wrap this up. So this will be the final question. Excluding Jamie Campbell Bower, which actor or actress are you most excited to see in a future project? And that's how we'll leave it. So, Aiden.
Sadie Sink. I'm interested to see who she's playing in the new Spider-Man.
Ooh, good one. How about you, Jessica?
yeah, I'll choose a different one and I'll go with Gatton, because I think that he just killed it this season, and I would like to see him in more projects, period. But he has an amazing voice and he's been on Broadway before and stuff. So I think like he's already shown that he can do Broadway and he can sing. Would love to see like another movie or TV show project that he's in, because he really like outsold almost every other actor this season, like with the exception of JCB and Sadie Sink. I would say those are the top three that were like on another level from everyone else.
Awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
looks like David in the chat agrees. We'd love to
Yeah.
see more. For me, I think I'm gonna go with Mr. Steve Harrington. I don't know, like last tangent, I promise we got to get off this, but there's a couple of live music videos that kind of hit some like magical emotional thing. Like, I don't know if you guys seen the Goo Goo Dolls, that's Iris live in Buffalo, New York, where it's pouring rain. Like, that's a
Yeah.
famous one. Joe has a similar vibe music video when he's playing an open air festival, playing End of Beginnings or whatever that song's called. And it's just, I don't know, it catches like a magical moment, I feel like. So that's another. So besides the musical aspect of where he goes, like, I feel like he could do a really good, because we've seen it with Gatton, like a buddy cop movie kind of thing. Like, put him in a scenario like that where he's with someone that annoys him. And I think it would make a pretty good movie. So I'd love to see more of that from him. But yeah, I think we did it.
Quick on what you said there. I was thinking of a music video. There's one where Tracy Chapman does Fast Car live.
Yes. With Luke,
Takes me
was
to that
with Luke
place.
Combs?
Yeah. Or there's like an old one where I think it was
Oh.
like one of the first times the song had like ever been performed or whatever.
Oh.
It's a huge audience. She had to like step in maybe because like someone couldn't make it and no one had heard the song. And she just like
Ooh.
captured this huge audience with this like unknown song. And that's like a worship song to be like, there's some songs that aren't worship songs, but kind of are. Like, you got to lift your hands a little bit. I feel like that's one of them. So
I'm gonna look for that after this.
I will
'cause,
try to find the video and send it to you, the one that I'm talking about, because it's like, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, because that song's been coming back around because she did a duet with Luke Combs, I think, the country singer. I'm not much a country guy, sadly, but that rendition was good as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got something in the chat here. Sadie, I killed it. Like, see others lacking. Yeah, that's a take. I could see that in some aspects. But yeah, I appreciate everyone being here with us. Like, we went for 2 hours, and this isn't a fandom we'd normally cover. So I'm glad
We
you guys
went
stuck
almost
with us.
as I think we went just a little bit longer than the actual episode itself.
All right, now we need a 40-minute epilogue, and then we'll sign
Oh,
off.
no.
I think
it
we've had
takes
a
us
40
about
minute.
40 minutes to wrap up after we say we're going to wrap up. So we
Yeah.
probably hit that.
I think we
We
got it.
did. We got it. So, yeah, if anyone is new here, we'll be covering a lot of different stuff in this coming year. Rings of Power will be heavily focused, but hopefully, we'll decide to cover the Dunk and Egg story for Game of Thrones.
I'd love to do that with you, Shiv.
Oh my gosh,
Oh.
that's soon.
Name a place and
Oh,
time. I'll
soon.
be there.
The Pit
also
is in
think-
like 4 days. I just
Pit.
realized.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. My wife was
Like
literally
the 8th.
my wife literally said last night, like, "Oh, when are they gonna make another season of The Pit?" And I was like, "I don't know." Soon,
Now.
I think. And then I went online. It was like 5 days. I was like, "Oh."
What a great feeling that would be to be like, I need this, and then it's in like 4 days.
But also,
Yeah.
yeah, as one final parting remark,
Jesus.
The epilogue starts.
no,
The
this isn't about
epilogue
Stranger
starts.
Things. This isn't about Stranger Things. This is I hope I'm not overstepping, but while we were in the middle of filming this, our dear leader Harry decided to abandon us and has been talking about a new Second Age show in the
Oh
public
my God.
Discord, which if you aren't
I
a part
thought
of,
that's what he was doing. I was like, we're in here slaving
Uh-huh.
away in the trenches.
yeah. So if you're not in our public Discord, there should be a link at the bottom of pretty much all our videos if you want to join. But seems like he's gathering some opinions about what people want to see in the next Second Age show, which if you're unfamiliar, here at Fellowship of Fans, is a show we do where we cover new breaking leaks about the upcoming season of Rings of Power Season 3. I don't believe that Harry has announced when this is happening, but based on the fact that he's bringing it up, I would say probably expect it pretty soon.
Awesome. Hot off the press.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So we got that to look forward to this year, hopefully soon.
Yeah,
saw-
if it was next weekend, that'd be awesome, but I don't think I can make that kind of promise.
Oh God, don't do that. You'll get my curse where I
Yeah,
announce something.
I'm
and it
not going to
gets
do what
delayed.
you did. We were like, guys, I've got a big announcement. We're doing another one in 2 weeks. And
Oh boy.
that was what, 2
Yeah,
months
we'll
ago?
let Harry make that announcement.
Yeah.
Thank you to
Ugh.
the storyteller and Davidson, Frith,
Delightful
the others in the
Jalen.
chat that have been very interactive. We really appreciate that. That helps us a lot. Yeah. Shiv, thank you for leading us and for outlining our conversation. That was super
Yeah.
helpful. Helped us stay on track.
We did our best. We did our best.
We did a better job this time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think that the outline helps for sure. We had to cover so much. I was like, I don't even know where to begin with that. But this one was better. We steered in the right direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate everyone being on today. Like, thank you, Aiden, as always, and Jessica as well. Thank you for participating in this lovely conversation.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It was great fun.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Oh, thanks, Joyful
Oh.
Jalen.
Yay.
That's very kind of you.
Awesome. And get ready to hear more from Rings of Power. Or let us know in the comments if you have any other shows you want us to cover, because I think you
Jalen
mentioned
said
Pluribus.
Pluribus. Oh,
It's a good one.
we should. I wonder if we
Yeah.
missed out for that, but Shiv's
Maybe-
hot on
maybe
the
we-
trail to cover other fandom projects. So
Yeah, well, I'll see what I can do. I love that. I love Vince Gilligan and all that. So I just, for some reason, it's been on the back burner. So maybe if I
I
can
just don't have
rush
Apple TV, which is why I haven't seen it.
the pain.
None of
So
us
there's a
have
lot of
Apple
good.
TV, Aiden.
I know, but I'm just too lazy to do malicious methods.
Oh, but yeah, we'll see if we can cover that. We'll do that. I know there's also Fallout. We might try to do that if we can.
Oh yeah, I think I watched
get
the
enough
first
people.
episode.
Yeah, I think I got 2 or 3 episodes in now, and that could be fun
That's
to
the
cover.
problem
So
is that we just need to get more people in our org to watch the shows, because I feel like there's been a couple where you reach out and you and I are the only ones that have seen it, and it's maybe we can do a 2-man podcast. I think
What am
Yeah.
I, chopped liver?
I'm talking about you. You haven't watched some of these things.
Like what? I watch everything.
Oh
Don't
snap!
this is like the argument tactic where name one time I've done that, and all of a sudden,
I have watched everything.
okay. Well, you also have not been a part of Fellowship of Fans for
Wait,
that long.
Jessica. She said she watched everything, so that means I have someone else to cover the expanse with me now because Mr. Strider has disappeared and he hasn't done it yet. So you heard it
He
here.
needs to come back around.
He popped.
Actually,
into
I'll take his place for DSAS. Don't tell him.
Wow.
He popped into my DMs the other day, and I forgot to respond. But
Oh boy. All right. Well, that was our epilogue. We made it not 40 minutes, but we tried. So thank you, Jalen, again for subscribing. We'll keep in touch. Let us know what else you want to cover. As always, like what we said, storyteller. David, thanks for participating and adding your insights. It's been greatly appreciated. So yeah, until next time. I'm not going to promise it, but it sounds like the next time you might see some of us, or at least members of Fellowship of Fans, is hopefully for a Second Age show. So that'll be a lot of fun. Aiden just left to go film that, apparently. Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Let's leave.
You
Come back again.
I was like, oh, shit, crashed, and my screen blacked out. I was like, no.
But
yeah, I'm
let's see
leaving
what
right
this-
now to go do.
Yeah, TSAS announcement is about that we missed while we were here.
Yeah.
We'll go catch up on that now, and appreciate everyone. Until next time, yeah, let us know what to watch. All right, bye.